Today, we're back in the workshop. I need to get this door painted. It is the beginning of November and it's going to be 66 degrees today, and then the bottom's going to fall out. So it's going to get really cold, and I would like to get this door taken care of before that happens. I want to paint the interior of it, and I also want to paint the outside edges where the wood is being exposed from the moisture that vent-free heater created has caused the paint to pucker and peel along the wood. So I want to get that all scraped off and get it cleaned up, and we're going to do it right now. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Dierdorf and this is Detroit DIY. Let's get this door straightened up. The vent-free heater that used to be in here has caused me a lot of problems. As you can see, the moisture from it has rusted the hinges, so I want to get them wire brushed up. All of the hinges are like that. In fact, there's a big rust stain down the door here, and I've already scrubbed this door, so it's basically ready to go. Also, all the paint on the edge of the door here is giving up, mostly on the top half, not so bad on the bottom half. And the same thing here. For whatever reason, the top half is pretty good, but the bottom half isn't. So we're going to get all this cleaned up and get some paint on it. The first thing we're going to do is get this doorknob removed. I'm going to go ahead and pull the latch out also. There we go. That was easy enough. Now let's get this thing taped up. Since I'm going to spray paint the door, I just want to cover some stuff up here a little ways out so I don't get overspray all over everything. Even though this trim's getting replaced, I'm still just going to go ahead and cover over everything here. Alright, I'm going to keep throwing this tape on, get some paper on here, we'll come back, take a look, and we're going to get some painting done. Before I tape down this side of the door, I just want to wire brush off these hinges and get them cleaned up, at least the best I can, so that the paint will stick to them and it'll give them some protection. Best case scenario would probably be to replace them, but I think we can make them last a few more years, especially now that the vent-free heater is gone. I'm pretty happy with the new heater, and this shouldn't be occurring anymore. It made a mess in here, that's for sure. Alright, I'm going to do that to the other two and then get the paper on, and we're going to be painting. For the door, I'm going to be using the same paint that I've used for the lights, the Rust-Oleum Extra Cover. It's a semi-gloss white. And we are ready to go. I'm just going to put a real light coat on it first, and then come back and get a better second coat going on and get the coverage that I want, unless it runs me out of here first. Try not to get any runs in it. Just get a good tack coat, a nice real light first coat. Already looks better. Alright, I'm going to keep painting. We'll come back and take a look after this first coat is tacked up before we start the second. The first coat is tacked up and you can still see there's some lines in here, so we obviously need a second coat, but it's looking really good. I'm going to get going on the second coat right now. For the second coat, I'm going to put it on a little heavier, a little bit wetter, and I'm going to go the same direction. If it requires a third coat, I will switch directions then. However, that is looking really good to me. Alright, I'm going to keep painting. We'll come back and take a look when this is done. The door is dry and I am pretty happy with what I've got here. So I am going to go ahead and start getting this stuff scraped off. I'm going to use a multi-tool or a painter's tool just to come through and scrape this stuff off. It shouldn't be too awful bad to get most all of it off of here. I'm going to keep scraping away. We'll come back, take a look once I get it all off. Fortunately, I found some rotten wood at the bottom of the door on this side and on this side. I'm going to pick most of this out. I've got it pretty cleaned up now. Get it cleaned up a little bit, get the vacuum over here, and then I'm going to use some wood filler to fix that for now. Best case scenario would be to replace the door, but that's just not in the cards right now, so it's going to get fixed. This is what we're going to be using to fix the door with. This is basically auto body putty or Bondo labeled as wood filler. Same thing. You have to use a cream hardener for it to get it to harden. We're going to mix some up right now and I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to get me a generous portion out of here. Put it right on this cardboard. Try and get enough here to fill both of the holes at once. Scrape off my putty knife. Being it's a cooler day, this should not harden up super fast. If you do not get, you kind of want to knead this cream hardener a little bit in the tube. If you do not get enough hardener in it, it will not set. If you get too much, you're better off getting a little too much. It's about a 1-to-1, so you kind of have to picture the two different sizes here and how much a 1-to-1 ratio is. So we just want to get a decent bead on here. About that much is going to be plenty. And now we're going to mix it up. And you have to make sure that you mix it thoroughly so that all of the body filler gets introduced to the hardener. The nice thing about using this opposed to other wood fillers is it sets up really fast and you can apply the complete thickness all at once. It won't crack or become brittle or have any problems because you've put it all in at once. Now that we've got it mixed thoroughly, let's get it in the door. I've got it all taped off here just to help me control my mess a little bit. So what we want to do is just pack it in here. You want to make sure there's no air pockets and that you fill the entire void. Now I want to go ahead and remove this excess from this edge. And the same thing over here. This side will be a little more difficult because there is no edge. So I'll have to reshape that. Get a little more in there. I'm going to let that harden, and I'm going to fill the other side, and we'll come back and take a look before we start sanding. It's been about 10 minutes, and it is dry to the touch, but it's still soft and not ready for sanding. Any of this excess that I have right here, I want to go ahead right now and take my putty knife and just kind of cut it off. It'll save me a bunch of sanding and just make life a little bit easier. I'm hopeful that you can see, but I'm just going to very gently go down the side of it and just trim it off. Same thing over here. Just kind of trim off any of the excess. This will make life easier when it comes to sanding. I'm good with that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll get this sanded down shortly. I've got some 100 grit sandpaper, and I am just going to start scuffing it up. Now it's only been maybe 15 minutes since I put this in here. Typically, if this was woodworking or something like that, you would want to use a block to help you get everything flat. For this, I'm not particularly worried about it. I just want to stop the rot. And get it looking somewhat good. I'm not even worried about perfection. I'm going to peel this tape off. And then with the sandpaper folded, I'm going to use the folded edge right here to clean up this inside edge a little bit. Alright, I'm going to keep sanding. It's almost there. I'm pretty happy with it. It's got a little low spot, but I'm not real worried about that. Clean up the edges, and it'll be good. I have the repair all sanded. It's not perfect, but that's okay. It's not like we're doing woodworking. Like I say, I just want to stop the rot. So I am now ready to get a little bit of paint on here. I've got some masking tape on the face of my door. It needs to be painted too, but that is not a today project. So we are going to get a coat of paint on this. This is just 100 grit. I didn't go over it with anything else. So it'll probably have a few scratch marks in it, but that's okay. I'm going to use the same spray paint for this that I did for the face of the door. Kind of the same thing, just a light coat, and then I'll come back with a heavier coat. We'll check it out when it's all done. Slight change of plans. I've decided to go ahead and give the outside of the door the spruce up that it needs as well. I've already got one coat on, so this second coat is just going to go on kind of wet and be the final coat. The door is finished. I am really happy with how this turned out. Here is the area that we put the filler in. It looks really good. Well, it's not perfect, but it looks really good. Also put filler on the other side. The outside of the door turned out extraordinary. I'm really happy with that. I need to get the doorknob back in, but I have to wait for this to dry just a little bit. This is the other edge. Just couldn't be happier. The repair down there. And the inside of the door has a couple dents in it. I'm not going to worry about them too much. That was a little Oliver thing. That's why the trim is missing. And that's why the trim is chewed up right there. And the corner of my bench. Oliver used to hang out in here when we first got him as a puppy. He was a little off the hook. In fact, he ate a big hole in the wall right here. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link right up above. It's pretty interesting the amount of destruction that he did right there in about 10 minutes time. But at any rate, the door is finished. I used 3 cans of spray paint to paint the door. I don't think that was too bad, and just a good idea. If you're going to paint your steel door with spray cans, you're going to need about 3 of them. That's all we got for this time. If you enjoyed yourself, click on one of those 2 videos. They're going to pop up next to me. And remember to always respect the power of your power tools. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider doing so. And we'll see you soon.